what is something wonderful that has happened for you so far this lovely Black History Month?
I recently just relaunched my photography page on Instagram, and I've gotten 2 inquiries, 2 about headshots and then 1 about covering an event.
I was able to go on set for a script that I wrote. It was so cool, like meeting the actors and actresses and like knowing that they were going to be saying the lines that I wrote. It was so surreal. I wrote things and like shot them with like my peers, but I've never been able to see it on like a broader platform with like real casted actors and actresses, and that went through like an audition process and things like that. And also being able to like shadow the director and like see how she wants them to deliver the lines and things like that. Just seeing all of that was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like seeing it all come into fruition. So I think that was like the coolest part. And the whole cast and crew was Black. So I was like, I was telling everybody, happy Black History Month. We're here.
That's
got
awesome.
a Black writer, Black director, Black woman director, Black woman producer. All of like the core crew was Black women. So I was like, this is perfect timing.
Speaking of Black women being producers and directors and screenwriters and filmmakers and whatnot, I want to talk to folks a little bit about our mastermind group, our mentorship group. How would you describe what Black Women Produce is, and what are some of the benefits that you've gotten from it so far?
I would say that this is a real accountability group. Everybody, every young woman in this group has dreams and aspirations to be in the entertainment industry and the film industry. And basically what we're doing is we're holding each other accountable to make that happen and produce things to help us get there, help us get seen. And I'm so very thankful that you started this and asked us to be a part of it. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity and a beautiful experience. And I wish every Black woman had a group like this.
I would go as far as to say that we are just a production company. I know a lot of times it's like we are like aspiring to be, but we are producing, we are producers, we are directors. It's not something that we're like a far-fetched idea that we're still trying to attain. It's something that we're doing present in our lives day to day. Like all 3 of us work very hard to make sure that we are on the same page and on the track of producing and directing. So I would say it's definitely a collective of just go-getters and people that are determined to, you know, manifest certain projects or stories. And just, yeah, definitely we hold each other accountable. We support each other. I would say it's definitely a safe space where we're able to come and like not only talk about our grievances, but share great things that's happening and know that it's going to be received with support and love. And yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. It's priceless to me. I know it's priceless to all of us. It's like, yeah, it's nothing there aren't many spaces for Black women in film like this. So I'm definitely proud to be part of it.
One of the reasons why it was so important for me to create a space for this sort of group to exist is because something one of my mentors told me and tells me often is that if you don't see it, you have to create it. If it doesn't exist, you're going to be the innovator, you're going to be the inventor. And I've had experiences being mentored and mentoring others in the past. And what I know for sure is that, like you said, Taylor, spaces where Black women can not only inspire and aspire together, but spaces where we can produce actual outcome and projects and results together is very rare, especially in film and entertainment. Think about why this group exists and why I felt like it was necessary to pull it together is because I've been inspired by the work that you have done and the things that you have accomplished. And I know that part of my giving back is to step into the role of a mentor, but also to be able to work alongside the 2 of you. There's a project that the 3 of us are working on collectively. I'll tell a little bit about the project and talk a little bit about what my role is and why it's so important. For those who don't know, for those who do know, I have a son who is a Dillard University Film School graduate as of last year, and he wrote a script for a short. And like with all of his scripts and outlines and everything, he's like, Mom, read this and let me know what you think. And at first I was like, wow, that's a lot to squeeze into 25 pages. And what it let me know is storytelling comes in many different forms. And at first he asked if I wanted to be a part of the project as a producer. And I was like, absolutely not, because my plate is so very full. He persisted and persisted. And when I read the script again, I thought to myself, my initial reason for wanting to say no to it was because it felt like it hit a little too close to home. So what that did is it let me know I needed to stretch myself a little bit and step into this role as producer. And my first call was to Natalie. So Nat, would you tell us about your role on the project and why you said yes to it?
I'm a co-producer on the project. I said yes to it really initially because I love my friends, and it was supposed to be a little skeleton crew. Like, drive out to Dallas. We're gonna shoot this really quick in like a weekend and hang out, and it's gonna be really cool. It was right after graduation. I was missing my friends. I was like, yeah, I'll come to Dallas and just do this really quick. Quickly turned into something more, and I think you kind of instilled in us like, this is more than what you guys are making it. I think you guys should go bigger with this. And so I bought in. I was like, okay, let's do it. So after I read the scripts, like, I want to say 3 more times, I was like, this is a story that needs to be told, and I think I want to help put this together. The themes that are being portrayed in it, and kind of the call to action, is what really solidified, like, yes, I need to be a part of this. So
and Taylor, you were one of the early members of that skeleton crew as well. Can you tell us why you said yes to the project and why it's so important?
As a director, it's really important to really understand the story that you're telling, not only from like a literal standpoint, but from like a, I guess, like a subplot or a subconscious standpoint. And I feel like that's something that I really resonated with the script. I was like, oh, okay, this is the like a plot story of what we're telling, but the underlying message is like the hard hitter. So I would say that definitely like drew me to it. Also the genre of it being a psychological thriller. I love psychological thrillers. It's my favorite genre. So immediately I was like, this is right up my alley. I can do a lot with this. And also just the crew, just passionate individuals that take it seriously. I know everyone was going to give their full creative energy to it, and that's what I love to see and surround myself with, because, you know, it rubs off on you when you see everyone around you like being passionate about a story. Then it's like, okay, this is somewhere I can be freely creative. A solid crew, a solid story, and just fun. I love shooting. I knew it would be a fun shoot, and to be able to build those bonds with the other creative people around me was really important, and I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to do that.
The genre is psychological thriller. However, sometimes when we think thriller, we think like horror, boogeyman, you know, monster, scary demons who fly out of pictures apparently, and dolls who hide on your bed and stuff like that. But there are certain terrifying experiences that we as Black people have that look a lot different than what people might expect. Without giving away, of course, what the deep story is with this project, I'm curious to know from the two of you, based on your experience in filmmaking as a viewer or as a filmmaker, have you seen anything out there that is remotely similar to what we're doing? And if so, what is that? I love the expressions on both of your faces. It's like,
let's say that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to think if there is something like this.
I would say the most similar that I can think of off the top of my head would be Get Out, because when you originally watch Get Out, it seems kind of comical. Like, it's, oh, this Black guy, he's going to visit his white girlfriend, and he's saying all this awkward stuff like, I would have voted for Obama if he ran for a third term, and things like that. So it's funny. And then when you realize it's a real serious story with like real repercussions and like the stakes are high, then it's like a completely different experience for the audience. And I feel like that's similar to what we're doing here.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very Jordan Peele-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
The writing, the look, the feel that we're going for, it's very kind of upside down type esque.
mhm,
I don't really know how to describe
mhm.
it without giving too much away, but if you like Jordan Peele, you will like this production a lot.
I like that. I like that. No, Jordan Peele, I mean, what I like about Jordan Peele as a creative is, I mean, I've watched his journey from when he was doing sketch comedy on Mad TV and then doing a more sketch comedy on Key and Peele and then bringing us these psychological thriller films that we now know as Get Out and Us and Nope. And so what I think is clever about a psychological thriller is humor exists a little bit in fear sometimes because sometimes you have to laugh and say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in this situation. What else can I do but laugh? You
Yeah.
know? So I'm curious to know from the two of you as well, when you think about psych thriller as a genre, as it relates to quote unquote Black cinema, why do you think it's so important for us to tell stories like this aside from the stereotypical stories that we often see assigned for us?
I, I would say psych thriller. The key word there is psychological. So like you have thriller, you have horror, and those are things that are like in your face, like someone's getting murdered, it's horror, it's in front of you. But I feel like a lot of times, especially with Black stories and Black obstacles, it really is a psychological game that you're playing. And a lot of times the racism isn't like explicitly someone calling you a slur. It's like those microaggressions, and it's like, did they say that? And did they mean it in that way? And it's very like you're second guessing yourself all the time, and like the people around you. So I would say it's definitely a great genre to be able to tell this story, because it like plays on the idea of you don't even know like who you can trust internally or externally. And with that, it just becomes like a whole psychological mess in your head. And I hope the audience feels that way. They're like, I don't even know what I just saw or what I should feel about it. And that, yeah. So
Nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think the psychology of Black people is different
Mhm.
than any other race. So giving our psychology like a voice and giving it its time on the screen so that people can understand, not even understand, but get a glimpse into how we think and why we think the way that we do, and seeing all of the outside factors that we have to deal with and how that takes a toll on us psychologically and internally, and giving us a space to just shout it from the rooftops without any repercussions. I think that's very important, and it's a really important way for us to release some of that. I don't even want to say trauma, because trauma really sticks with you.
Mhm.
Um, give it a face, give it a name, have something tangible for people who are not us to have in their hands, and I think that's really important. And it causes great dialogue.
Mhm.
More than anything, I want this project to produce some very honest dialogue about the problems that that we as Black people are facing, and how other groups, other races can either relate to
Mhm.
that or help us, I guess, move away from those
Mm.
traumas.
This is why we are working on this project together, because these are the two of you, very intelligent, innovative, imaginative, creative, powerful human beings. And something that I know that I've always appreciated about film and television is, to your point, Natalie, that we have the ability to influence culture with storytelling. And culture is influenced by many things. As we know, Black folks create pop culture. So culture is something that I think we just have ingrained in us. And what often happens is our stories are being told by people other than us.
Yeah.
And not just us Black people, but Black women. Our stories are often being told by people other than us. And something that I think is really important about this particular project is that it is going to be a conversation starter. It is going to be something that generates dialogue. It is going to be something that people think about after they see it. And what's also exciting is that we're doing it in 26 pages. So for those who don't know, the average screenplay, roughly there's like a minute a page, okay, roughly. So to be able to put together a short that is going to be this impactful is really exciting for me, because sometimes you don't see stories that have this much depth. And you mentioned it earlier, Taylor, that there's, you know, there are A and B stories, there's layers to what's happening here. And so my hope is that people will see it and they'll go back and watch it again and see if they can see themselves in these characters, because that's how you know a great story, when you can drop yourself in it. From the both of you, and this is a question you may have answered before, let's start with Taylor. What do you hope that the audience / viewer will walk away with after seeing this film?
I would say for our Black audience members, honestly, a bit of relief and like a ha, that's funny, like a chuckle without giving too much away, just like, yeah, that makes sense. And then for our non-Black audience members, like, oh, okay, so that makes sense. Like, to kind of put things into perspective, because for us it'll already be in perspective, like, no, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And for other people it'll be like, okay, that I hadn't thought about it in that way. So I think depending on like your experience in life and your race relations within this country, you'll have a different experience watching it. And I think people will walk away with different lessons. But I think overall for everybody to just be like, okay, yeah, that's the reality of life, and that's just something that we're gonna have to accept.
Yeah.
I think for our Black audience, one, like Taylor said, like a haha, this is an inside joke that no, a lot of people don't get, and also just a sense of pride for Black people. Just the fact that it's on the screen and it's being seen. So yeah, a sense of pride. For non-Black people, I hope that they walk away with a different perspective and a different way of seeing Black people in a way that makes them want to do something about what is going on. Yeah.
I heard that. A chuckle and a call to action, people. Again, multi-layered stories. Black people are not a monolith. Stop trying to put us in a box. So this is a very Black film. We Black. Black people wrote it. Black people directing it. Black people producing it. Black people acting in it. Black people editing. It's Black. It's blackity black movie. I'll leave the floor open for either of y'all. Anything else you want to say before we wrap?
Only thing I want to say is stay tuned. We have a lot coming, and I think you guys are really gonna like this one.
Yes. And happy Black History Month, and shout out to Black women that do film, because we're out here and people don't think that we are, but we are, and we are living proof of that. So yes, shout out to us.
Yeah, shout out to us. I love that. Black women producers for Black women, not BIPOC. Black, BLACK. Black women produce. There's other groups out there for BIPOCs, but this ain't it.